It is October the 30th, almost November. And I am reshaping the orchard here, the back orchard. I haven't gotten to the front one yet. And doing a lot of work in this beautiful, beautiful weather. Still have a few trees to do, not much back here. I've gotten most of my work. I thinned out the trees and removed the unwanted branches that were being shaded and shadowed out by other branches, which cuts down on production. I did quite a bit of pruning to these trees, and I expect that they will be benefiting from this work, all of this work, next season. Some of the tools of my labor here. I may make this into a longer video as well. It will be a short. Okay, I think I might continue this for a little bit, Deb.
Yeah.
But the trees have shaped up beautifully. And I just, incidentally, I just wanted to show some of the breba on here, which you can see everywhere for next season. I can't tell quite if this is in focus, but you can see the breba on the Feliciano Bianco. It's all over the place. It's really, really a prolific variety. And of course, a San Pedro. And it's going to make a lot of figs next year. And they're going to winter over just fine, I hope, unless we have an extraordinarily cold winter. The last few winters have been merciful, I'm happy to say. Here I'm cutting down some trees, or cutting them back pretty severely. I like to keep my figs as high as I can, the terminal buds as high as I can, because I think a lot of the fig community has learned over time something that I've known for a while, and that is that the taller the trees, the better really the crop. You don't want to ever really nip or pinch the terminal buds. I don't like the process at all. Only extraordinary circumstances really call for that. If your trees aren't really healthy or mature, or if you're trying to rush production or something, some other reasoning process that I honestly don't agree with most of the time. I like the trees to be natural and to follow their own nature as they are genetically inclined to do. I think that's a good strategy. It works for me. Whatever works for you is fine. There's a lot of flexibility in being a figster and figonomics. It's whatever works for you, whatever you can make work for you, and different people have different procedures that they like to follow, different techniques that they adhere to, and that's fine. That's fine. There's plenty of flexibility and room for that sort of thing. I only offer my suggestions because they're mine and they've worked for me. Something in a different zone, or maybe because of different other circumstances that I'm not really familiar with, might work better for you in a different location, or with different varieties, or some other some other important factor that I'm not really privy to or familiar with. So this is what works for me, and it certainly works, and I get a very good crop. As you look back at my videos, you will see I'm very satisfied with the results. I have very healthy fig trees without fig mosaic virus. They all produce abundantly, and they stay compacted by me using these methods. I do allow them to grow vertically. I don't fool around with the terminal buds, because look, you can see the breba. You can just see how healthy, how wonderfully, how can I get this in focus with my hand in it, maybe like that. You can just see how healthy these terminal buds are, thick and productive, and very capable of sustaining a very, very abundant crop of figs. And that's very, very important, as I've mentioned in the past. So I like to get out all the scraggly wood that I can that's down further, closer to the ground. I leave a little scraggly wood, and there's a purpose. There's a reason why I do that, and that is because sometimes during severe dieback, when there is an extraordinarily cold winter, There's nothing that you can really do to prevent that when it happens. I hope it never happens again. I don't know if, I'm sure it will, because I've been doing this quite some time. And I've had 2 or 3 years where it's been warm and moderate, and then all of a sudden, boom, a real cold snap moves in. Subarctic temperatures dropping down to 0 here easily, out in the country especially. And that will just take your figs down to the ground if it lasts for a couple of days, or if you have more than one episode of that. The figs can only take so much stress before they succumb to die back from the winter. So the reason why I do leave some scraggly, some shoots, and they tend to be the ones that aren't growing laterally, they're growing vertically from the ground. The reason why I do that is because if there's a severe dieback that occurs, very often the shoots closest to the ground, any growth closest to the ground will be spared. And so it'd be easier to reestablish the tree, because it takes some time to reestablish a tree to the point like these where they're producing wonderfully and abundantly. It takes time. And so you don't want to lose an extra year. If you already have something now that's already lignified and it's turned into wood, and it's going to be able to withstand some of the rigors of the extreme cold weather if it were to occur, and often does. It's good to have that in a position where it will maybe last through the winter, when the rest of it will die higher up, because closer to the ground you have the geothermal warmth of the earth and the sun beating down, on the mulch and such. And I can feel all the heat right now. It's very, very comforting. It's a very chilly morning, and we came to a near frost the night before last, and close to in the 30s again last night. So hopefully this will survive. And then of course I build up the winter mulch as high as I can, grass clippings and such, and leaves. And so some of that's going to be covered, and it's probably likely going to be preserved. Some of the bottom trunks will be preserved. So if they die back, we clip them all off, and they start to send out shoots again. And the next thing you know, in a year or two, you have a good crop of figs. So that's the whole purpose of that. Okay. I'm really making progress. I started this project yesterday, and I accomplished quite a bit. I'm going to be laying down my winter mulch. I've accumulated a lot of grass clippings, and I've been chopping up the leaves with my lawnmower, and I've got a grass collector, and so it makes it so that it's very nice. You can see here that I've been putting the chopped leaves, see, all around the bottom of my fig tree. See that? I chopped that up with the lawnmower, and that's what I use. Everything I can at my disposal, and that I can access in nature for these projects. You see, I've been putting it down on these trees, and I'll keep those leaves down there, and this will serve as winter mulch, and it makes a very big difference in helping the tree. It actually prevents upper dieback by keeping the roots warm, and that's a fact. That's important to do that, okay, so that when they do finally get properly into a state where the cold will not affect them as much, they go into dormancy, full dormancy, the added leaves and the mulch will help keep the roots warm, and it takes the stress, the everyday stress of the cold winter winds off of the tree. It's an accumulated stress, actually, that I believe causes most of the damage to your tree. So the accumulated stress can be controlled by certain procedures and practices and techniques. One of them is winter mulching. It's important to not stress the roots, not allow the roots to be too stressed, because it's already hard enough on the trees just to have the branches that are above ground be subjected to such huge large wind chill factors and extreme cold. So everything that you can do accumulatively will be beneficial to help you to get to that goal. The goal, of course, is to get your winter trees, your fig trees, through the winter without dieback. And I haven't been wrapping. I practiced wrapping for decades, and I have not been wrapping for the last 3 winters at least. I haven't wrapped anything, and I'm not going to because I'm getting older. I have a lot of trees to tend to, and I've got trees in different locations where they're not likely to freeze, and I have an abundance of figs for my own personal needs. So I just don't see how I can justify all of the work that's involved in wrapping all of the trees. I did it because I valued my trees all my life. I value them tremendously. I really do value them, and I don't want to lose trees unnecessarily to the cold winter winds, but I just can't anymore. I just can't apply all of the apply all of the work and time that I would need to wrap all of these trees. I have redundant trees. I have the same varieties in different locations and in pots, so I don't have to worry about losing any of my family heirloom varieties or any of my favorite varieties in my collection. I have redundant locations, and I also have friends that I've given my trees to where I know exactly where they are. So I'm never going to lose the genetic it's the collection, the genetic collection of wonderful fig varieties that I have. Out here, you can see that there's a lot of material that I can rake up to put as winter mulch. The corn has been completely harvested now by the combines, by the magnificent machinery that does the job. It's quite impressive. I love watching it every year. It's really a privilege to watch it. It entertains me. It's very exciting to me. I just love seeing the plant, the spring plant, and I like to watch the crop, whatever the crop might be for that particular year. I like to watch it grow and progress. I like to watch the farmers' activities, and then finally coming to the harvest. I enjoy really watching the harvest process so much, especially this time of year. It's just such a wonderful time of year. This is my favorite, probably my favorite time of the year, bar one one activity. And of course, I don't get as many figs this time of year. I get some, but not as many. And wouldn't it be nice if it coincided with a large fig harvest, if that were the nature of the fig trees and their harvest, but it isn't. So it's aside from that, and of course I do have the persimmons, which are very, very, very abundant right now, and producing abundantly right now. So that's an added plus to this season. So one takes the place of the other, and so it's okay. It's a good trade. I welcome this time of year. I love this time of year. But here you can see, look at this material. We get back to the subject here. See all this material? Look at this. There's just a gigantic amount, huge, enormous amount of material here that I could just rake up, and I am going to do it today. I'm going to rake some of this material up, and I'm going to use it as winter mulch to finish the job that I've started here, and then I'm going to work around to the front of the yard, what I call my front side orchard. There I'm going to use a very big pile of grass clippings that I've been saving, because that doesn't blow around as much, and it is the front and side yard, and Debbie likes me to keep it nice and neat. So the grass clippings, once you lay them down and it rains once or twice, and I wet them with a hose, that's it. They're not going to move. They're just going to stay there until spring. That's a good thing. So thank you for visiting. I hope you picked up a pointer or two. I love my in-ground trees. I still have potted trees. I always will. But whenever I can get them into the ground, I certainly prefer growing my figs in the ground. Here I chopped away a few branches, some figs that probably would have ripened soon. But that's okay, because I have to think of the greater good, and I have to take advantage of opportune moments where I can fit into my schedule this sort of task. Okay, it's not easy, to schedule these things because I'm very busy in my life too, and I do have a life, a personal life too, that I like to extract from as much as possible. And I so love these activities when I can get them into my schedule. I have to take advantage of wonderful weather like this, and I enjoy the wonderful weather. But sometimes I have to cut away a few figs that would have come to fruition eventually. But it's a worthy sacrifice. It's a noble sacrifice and a worthwhile one that I willingly submit to. So, with that, I hope you've had a wonderful season, all of you out there. I can tell that things are winding down for everyone. You can feel the activity slowing down. But just remember, all of our enthusiasm will be reinvigorated in the spring. And probably a little before that, when we endure a long winter and we don't have all this fun together, okay? All of a sudden, we'll start to crave once again a new season in growing, in figs, in produce and berries and fruit trees, but especially my beloved fig trees. I will be very, very anxiously getting involved probably in March and April with my next season's projects, which I've outlined in some other videos. It's all very exciting to me. I've never lost my enthusiasm. It's never been dampened or tempered by anything in my life. Maybe very temporarily, maybe by certain things that were of extraordinary importance that occurred to me in my lifetime that were unavoidable. Emergencies and such that I had to direct my attention to, and so maybe slightly I lost my enthusiasm for a short period of time, but for the most part, consistently over my lifetime, I've always been just bubbling over effervescently with enthusiasm about this wonderful, wonderful hobby, growing figs. I've just been smitten with an addiction to figs ever since I was a kid. I don't know why. How can you explain these things? I've tried to explain them before. It's just a fact of life. Here, I left a few more scragglies in here, and I value this Hollier tree very much. I made a video about it. I've mentioned it several times this summer. I had a wonderful crop of Hollier this year. You can see the tree is very nice. Look at it. It's a nice. Look how thick. Look how thick these. Look at that. And you can see the Breba. Look, and look how beautiful these branches. Look, aren't they wonderful? I'm very, very, very. Look at these terminal buds. I mean, they're gigantic. They're thick and healthy. This is how I like to grow figs. This is it. I've tried to explain it. Look at that. Maybe I better get around here because the sun's on the other side. But look how thick. Look at this. This is a terminal bud. Look at that. Look at all the Breba. Can you see the Breba there? I'm putting my hand so I can get it in focus. I can't quite tell on my phone, but I think it's in focus. See, look at that. Beautiful, every one, all of these, this whole tree, look at it. It's just wonderful. It's going to produce so abundantly next year. I can't wait. I am just so happy and thrilled with the results of this whole. I like the taste of it. I just like everything about the fig variety, LSU, Hollier. And I left a few more of the scragglies below. I clipped away a lot, you can see. But I opened up the center for air circulation. But on the bottom, I left a few and a few more inner branches, just in case there's dieback. Because if there's dieback, maybe these lower branches will not be injured, and I'll be able to get it reestablished again more quickly. I so value this tree. I love this tree. I love it. Love this tree. And I'm going to be taking cuttings. And I'm going to make a lot of these because this is a good one. I got a good sample of this, and it's so disease-free, disease-resistant, and so it produces so abundantly. You can see it. Look at it. It's just wonderful. Look at that. So I'm going to make duplicates of this tree and I'm going to plant them in all of my locations, including at our son's house, which I've never videoed, and maybe put a couple in pots temporarily for a year or two, and then replant them also and give some to some friends. I may even offer some of these eventually along when I do sell my family heirlooms and my other varieties that are free of fig mosaic virus. When I finally do come to that point in this process, and I may offer them on fig bid, along with some other very, very, very healthy and vibrant fig varieties that I've had for many, many decades. So with that, I ran this video a little longer than I wanted, but there won't be too many more videos to follow. Just now and then, you can understand. Hey, Popsy, what you doing? What you doing? You miss your daddy? I'm here. We can sit down in the grass in the sun, and I'll drink my coffee and we'll have fun. You want to do that? Want to sit with daddy? All right, so good day. I place these little balls, little tennis-like balls, soft. I put a hole in the bottom of them and put them over the rebar so that at night, if I'm out here looking around for a fig, which I do consistently, to satisfy my irresistible cravings, even in the dark night, sometimes the wee hours of the morning, I won't poke my eye out. That's why I do that, in case you're wondering. Good day.